Here's how this works. Water, salt, and pepper, those are freebies. Your pantry, it better have flour, oil, vinegar, mustard, and garlic. Beyond that, you'll only need 5 more ingredients and 25 minutes to put an entree or entire meal on the table. So, shop, set the clock, and let's dish out. Alright, first up we're going to need some sausages. I'm using some brats that are stuffed with cheddar. Hey, it felt right since this is kind of an English or British dish, but you could use any kind of sausages that you'd like. We'll need some butter. I prefer unsalted. Speaking of unsalted, I go for the low sodium or no salt chicken broth. Again, just easier to control the salt content. We'll need 1 large white, yellow, or brown onion. And any kind of potatoes that you like, but for quick mashed potatoes where I can leave the skin on, I love yellow or Yukon Gold potatoes. Just a minor bit of prep work here. We're going to take both the root and stem end off this onion, peel it, cut it in half from pole to pole, and then we'll go ahead and slice at an angle from edge to edge, giving us these beautiful long thin slivers of onion that will break down and caramelize just beautifully in some butter and sausage fat. So for the potatoes, we'll go ahead and slice them into about 1/2 to 3/4 inch slices. Go ahead and go back through those into, again, 1 inch to 3/4 inch planks, and then back through once again into dice. You know, again, just try and keep these roughly similar size. The exact size itself is not super important. We'll put them in a pot, cover them with cold water. You always want to start potatoes in cold, heavily salted water. Bring that up to a boil. Once it's boiling, go ahead and give everything a stir. Drop the heat down to low, cover it, and we're going to simmer these for at least 15 minutes or until they are fork tender. While the potatoes cook, we'll go ahead and turn our attention to our sausages and onion. So I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil to a skillet over medium heat. Lay in my sausages. Optionally, you can prick the casings if you want to make sure plenty of sausage flavors leach out into the drippings into the pan. Next up, we'll just go ahead and add our entire onion in right over top. If you have any large pieces that didn't separate from one another while you were cutting them up, go ahead and break those apart now. We'll need to season this with some freshly cracked pepper and a little pinch of salt, of course. Then we'll pop a lid on and let it go for just 2 or 3 minutes. We're going to have to stir this several times. The first time we're going to go ahead and take those sausages up off the bottom of the skillet and make sure those onions are making beautiful contact with any drippings and liquids that have leached into the bottom of that skillet. That's going to help them caramelize and cook down nice and quickly for us. Let them go for 4 or 5 more minutes, and as you can see, we've got some great color on those sausages where they made contact with the skillet. Those onions are continuing to soften, but they're not quite where we need them yet, and the sausages still need to cook. So we'll go ahead and give everything a nice stir, pop the lid back on, and let it go for 4 to 5 more minutes. Once your sausages are done and the onions are nice and tender and beginning to caramelize, it's not going to happen in 15 minutes, but thereabout you should be in a good place. We'll go ahead and remove the sausages, add in a couple more tablespoons of butter, along with 2 to 3 large cloves of garlic that have been minced, and we'll let that butter melt and let that garlic get nice and fragrant and soft for about 60 seconds. At this point, we need to make a roux, so we're going to add in about 1/4 to 1/3 of a cup of all-purpose flour. The exact amounts will be down below if you guys would like to make this at home. Go ahead and stir that in until that flour is absorbed by the butter and is nice and nutty and toasty smelling. We don't want any white flour remaining. Now at that point, we can go in with a couple cups of our chicken stock, and this is going to help us make our gravy. Once you get that in there, just go ahead and start to slowly stir it around. For a little body and tang, I'm adding in about 1 tablespoon of Dijon mustard, also from the pantry. Then you're just going to raise your temperature up to medium-high and bring this up to a simmer and cook it down for 4 to 5 minutes until it reaches the consistency that you're looking for. Taste and adjust the seasoning, of course, as needed. You can always add a splash more liquid if it's a little too tight for you. Now, for our potatoes, I drain them, season them with cracked pepper and pinch of salt, a splash of chicken stock, and about 6 tablespoons or so of cold, unsalted butter. Since we're not using any cream or milk in these potatoes, that butter is really the only way we're going to be able to add any richness, since the chicken stock or broth itself doesn't really have any body or fat to it. Just go ahead and mash those up and add more butter and stock until they reach the consistency that you're looking for. For this application, I like them to be relatively loose and somewhat thin, but if you want them nice and chunky and thick, of course, they're your mash, so you do them exactly how you'd like. I got a beautiful bowl of those mash plated up here. I'm gonna lay down a sausage. I went ahead and cut it open just so we can see that lovely melted cheddar cheese that's baked in there. And then we'll very generously top this with that onion gravy. Oh man, look at just how it glistens. You know, it's gonna be so smooth and indulgent and creamy, even though there's no cream in it whatsoever. Gotta hit it with a little bit of parsley for a little pop of green there at the very end. And that is one beautiful bowl of comfort food. This is a pub dish or comfort food dish that comes to us from across the pond. And I gotta say, it definitely needs to stick around here in the States as well. Of course, those brats have a wonderful flavor, nice snappy casing, beautiful color we got on the outside. That onion gravy is absolutely rich and savory and garlicky and salty and just, oh man, that is one big bowl of comfort food. And as we prattle on towards the colder days of the year, here at least where I'm from, bowls like this are a treasure. So I'm gonna sneak away and enjoy the rest of this, and I hope you'll do the same, or at the very least, go make something delicious.